Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 1 through 8. And I want to exhort you for just a moment. I'm going to skip over a lot. I'm just going to get to the meat of what God has told me for this morning. And I want to talk to you about the time is now. Somebody said the time's now. How many of you believe, as a believer as well as a church, we're in some of the most crucial, critical times we've ever been? Yes. Come on, how many of you would say amen to that? It is a crucial, critical time for all of us. And I'm going to tell you what, it's crucial and critical on different levels. I feel like as a church, let me just say this, I feel like as a church, y'all, we are in a place, and I don't know about all the pastors of this church, but I do know, I feel like we're in a place that we've never been before. We need to embrace this moment and this time that we're in, and we need to move forward. If not, if we miss a moment, y'all, it'll be a long time before this moment comes back around again. And so somebody shout, the time is now. Come on, say that. Let's go to Ecclesiastes chapter 3. How many of you give me a few minutes? Come on, so I don't have to feel too rushed. I won't keep you all day. I got to go to Alabama and preach revival tonight, so pray for me. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 1 through 8 to everything. Somebody say everything. There's a season and a time and a purpose under the heaven, a time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to pluck up. And that which is planted, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to break down, a time to build up. Verse 4. A time to weep, a time to laugh, a time to mourn, a time to dance. That sounds like a rap, don't it? A time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace, a time to refrain from embracing, a time to get, a time to lose, a time to keep, a time to cast away, a time to rend, a time to stow. Keep going, a time to keep silent, a time to speak, a time to love, a time to hate, a time of war, and a time of peace. Anybody get the word time in this thing this morning? Oh, yeah, somebody say it's time, it's time. And I want to say something that's on our part that needs to be important. 1 Chronicles chapter 12. 1 Chronicles chapter 12, verse 32. And of the children of Issachar, which were men that had, watch this, y'all, that had the understanding of the times. Somebody said the understanding of the times. Come on, say it again, the understanding of the times. And what's the understanding here? It is to know what Israel ought to do. The heads of them were 200, and all their brethren were in their commandment. I want to preach on the time is now. Let's pray together. Father, thank you for your goodness, your love, and your mercy. Thank you, Lord, for this special, prophetic, historic service today. And God, already we are preparing for the harvest. We're getting ready for greater things. And Lord, I realize we have coordinators and leaders, but Lord, we're all laborers in the field. And we need each other. We're in this thing together. And God, help us to realize the urgency and the excitement that the time is now. In the name of Jesus, we pray. And everybody said amen. God bless you. You may be seated. I want to talk to you for just a moment. You know what? I think I am going to share this story. Come here, if you will, bring the table and all that stuff up here. I want to share this story. I heard this story about this old man and his lesson on marbles. Somebody say marbles. I started to preach on you losing your marbles, but I don't know how spiritual that would be. Just come set it right up here beside me, if you will. And I want to share this story with you. It's about a man. He said, a few weeks ago, I was shuffling toward the basement shack with a steaming cup of coffee in one hand and the morning paper in another. What began as a typical Saturday morning turned into one of those lessons that life seemed to hand you from time to time. Anybody know anything about life lessons, right? And this is what he went on to say. He said, what seemed to be typical turned into a lesson. He said, let me tell you about it. I turned the dial up on the phone portion of the band on my ham radio. Anybody ever done any ham radio? I haven't. I don't know much about it, but here we go. In order to listen on a Saturday morning in SWAPnet, along the way I came across an older sounding chap with a tremendous signal and a golden voice. You know, the kind that sounds like he should be a broadcasting business. And he was telling whoever it was something about 1,000 marbles. I don't have 1,000 marbles in here this morning, but listen to this story about 1,000 marbles. He said, I was intrigued and stopped to listen to what he had to say. Well, Tom, it sure sounds like you're busy with your job. I'm sure they pay you well, but it's a shame that you have to be away from home and your family so much. Hard to believe the young fella should have to work 60, 70 hours a week to make ends meet. Too bad you missed your daughter's dance recital. So I went to a toy store and I bought every single marble they had. And I ended up saving or having to visit 3 toy stores to round up 1,000 marbles. I took them home and I put them inside of a large clear plastic container here. And right here it is, watch this. And the shack next to my car. He's sitting in the shack and he's looking at this ham radio. He's listening to this. So he thought, man, I'm going and I got to go get some marbles at the toy store. And he picked up all these marbles, and here's the rest of the story. He said, watch this. He said, every Saturday since then, I've taken one marble out. And what does he do? He said, I throw it away. I found out that by watching the marbles diminish, I focused more on the really important things of life. There's nothing like watching your time, or just do this for the sake of time, watching your time here run out on earth. He said, Joe, what are you doing? Here's the rest of the story. He said, let me tell you something, Tom. He said, there's something to help me keep a good perspective on my priorities. Well, and this is what he did. He said, I take out a marble and I throw it away. And I found out that watching the marble diminish, it made me focus more on the more important things in life. There's nothing like watching your time here on earth run out to help you get your priorities straight. So he continued. He said, let me tell you something, Tom, something that has helped me as a good perspective of my own priorities. And that is when he began to explain the theory of 1,000 marbles. You see, I sat down one day and I did arithmetic. Now, if we got some mathematician in here, you're going to like this. I just leave the math stuff to my wife. The average person lives about 75 years. So I know that some live more, some live less. But on the average, folks live about 75 years. Somebody say 75 years. Now then, he said, I multiplied 75 times 52, and I came up with 3,900. Which is the number of Saturdays that average person has in their entire lifetime. Now stick with me, Tom. I'm getting to the important part. It took me until I was 55 years old to think about all of that in any type of detail. So he went on and said, by that time I had lived through over 2,800 Saturdays. Listen to what I'm telling you. And I got to think that if I've lived to be 75, I only had about 1,000 marbles left to enjoy. Now, let me tell you one last thing before I sign off and you take my lovely wife, or I take my wife out for breakfast. This morning, I took the very last marble out of the container. I'm just going to do it for the sake of time. Imagine, y'all, he took all his marbles that represented all of his life and just dumped all of his marbles except for one marble left. And when you think about that, he's down to the time, and so he's dumping all these marbles, and his time's getting away from him. And he said, so what I did was I took my wife out to breakfast, and I thought that was quite interesting because he realized at this moment that, hey, my time is getting away. So I took the very last marble out of the container. I figured that if I could make it until next Saturday, that I had been given a little extra time. For the sake of time, can you imagine getting down to one marble here this morning? Anybody still with me? Somebody say amen. Amen. Very good. So you can imagine if we get down to one marble, he looks at that last marble to represent this next Saturday that he's coming on, and he's thinking to himself, if I can get to that one last marble while I have lived an extended life and I've done well. So that's what he is thinking. I want you to get the concept this morning. He said, I figured that if I make it till next Saturday, then I have been given a little extra time. And the one thing that we can all use is a little more time. It was nice to meet you, Tom. I hope you spend more time with your family. I hope to meet you again here on the band. 73-year-old man, he's checking out. This is K9MZQ, clear and going QRT, good morning. You could have heard a pin drop on the band when this fella signed off. I guess he was used to all of us thinking about this. He got us all thinking. He said, I planned to work on the antenna that morning, and then I was going to meet up with a few hams to work at the newsletter. But instead, he said, I went upstairs, I woke my wife up with this kiss, and come on, honey, I'm taking you and the kids to breakfast. And what brought this on, she asked with a smile, all nothing special. It's just a long time since we spent a Saturday together with the kids. Listen to what he said. He said, hey, he said, can we stop by a toy store while we're out? I need to pick up some marbles. That's a long story, I know. But I want to tell you this to y'all. Can you imagine every day that goes by, y'all? Yeah, I should have titled this, you're losing a marble. But can you imagine that every Saturday that goes by, that's a whole week that's gone. And I don't know how old you are, how young you are, But you think about it, as these marbles get gone this morning, I'm not going to keep doing this, but I think you get the picture. Every time you drop a marble, guess what? You can never take that time back. He said, Joel, what are you saying? I'm telling you, spiritual this morning, you know what we've done? I'm not trying to be ugly, but I think we've wasted too many marbles on trying to major on the minor things and not doing nothing, and time's getting away. And what the Lord has spoke to me this morning to share with you is now is the time. Somebody say, now is the time. Now is the time for you and I to wake up and realize, I know you know this naturally. You don't need the impromptu of the Holy Spirit to tell you, but time is getting away. It's not changing. Man, I found that out. My little 10-year-old, she's growing up. Our kids are growing up. Time, and you can never take that back. You can always be successful. You can make all the money in the world, but you can't take that back. And a lot of people, you know what? We get so busy with our lives, y'all, that we go on, and if we're not careful, we'll get down to that last marble in time and say, God, what have I done for you? And I'm going to tell you what I'm hoping and I'm praying for this morning. I'm praying this morning that we'll realize the importance of this time. Somebody say importance of the time. Somebody say now's the time. Now's the time. You said, what's now the time? Well, it's a critical time for you and me to enter into the inheritance that God has for us. The blessings of the Lord. Is anybody ready to start walking in the blessings of the Lord? Come on, y'all. Are you getting what I'm telling you? Some of y'all, man, you've had so many bad days behind you. And you think your time's running out and you don't know what to do. And, I've wasted time and I've lived my life of sin. But can I tell you, God's going to give you some borrowed time this morning. How about that? It's your time to rise up and to walk into the inheritance that God has for you. And the blessings of the Lord that God has for you. It's time for you and I. This is the time. Somebody say, this is the time. This is the time that you and I, we're going to be experiencing the favor of God. I love the favor of God, Bob, because it ain't fair, but it sure is fun. Amen. Come on, look at somebody, tell them, I see favor all over you this morning. Come on, tell them. That's right. Come on, tell them. It's time for you and I to start walking in the fulfillment of those prophetic promises that we've been standing in for and waiting for to be fulfilled. I believe with all of my heart, y'all, that as a corporate body, I know it's going to happen personally, but I believe as a corporate body this morning, I believe that we have stepped into already what God has begun to promise us. Somebody say amen. Yeah, I've been speaking with some of the pillars of the church and with the change and you voted 98%. Get this, y'all. 98% to move the church. Now, how it ever happens in an already established church, that is a miracle. When I told my district overseer, I thought I was going to fall off the phone. He said, I don't think there's ever been any church that voted 98% to move, but you have. And you say, Joel, what's going on? This is nothing new. I say this with due respect. But I've been speaking with some of the pillars that's been in the church for a long time. And that is something that was prophesied. And that's something that tried to work out in times past. But do you understand? It didn't work then, but now's the time. Somebody say amen. Come on, somebody say now's the time. Now's the time. And I don't know about y'all. I don't want another day to go by without me stepping into what God has promised me. I don't want to miss another moment of His blessing. Come on, somebody. I don't want another day to go by where I'm living a life of defeatism and like, God, who am I? Look what kind of life I live. I want to be able to look back over my life and say, you know what? I fought a good fight. I finished the course. Look, I may have made some stupid mistakes and done some dumb stuff. But guess what? Now's my time to walk in what God has for us. Does anybody believe the better days are not behind you? They are ahead of you. Come on, somebody give God a shout of praise. It's time, y'all. Can I keep preaching a little bit? I'm preaching as fast as I can without hyperventilating. Amen? But do you understand something this morning? That now's the time. Somebody say now's the time. I don't know where some of you came from. I don't know what your past would be. But I'm going to tell you right now, it's not really a matter about your past. What's happening right now? What are you doing right now to embrace what God is speaking to you? What are you doing right now to embrace the blessings of the Lord? That's not just going to come upon you, but anybody know it wants to show up on your children. Hallelujah. Your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, and all of your family. Does anybody know, I feel this thing, does anybody know if you will just embrace this right now moment and don't let another day go by, you know what can happen? At the moment that you throw in a nice marble, it's at that moment that everything could change for you. That from this day forward, family curses can be broken. Poverty can be broken. Defeatism can be broken. The heavens can open. Come on, somebody give God a shout of praise if you believe that. Is this all right this morning, church? So I'll tell you, now is the time. Just like the sons of Issachar, God has given us, do you realize every day, y'all, that goes by is a borrowed day? Yes. God doesn't look at you and say, okay, you got 3,900 Saturdays left. I know. But do you understand, he doesn't look at you and say, hey, I'll give you, let's negotiate. I'll give you 100. No, we're not guaranteed another day. The Bible said life's a vapor. 1 minute we're here, the next week vanisheth away. So do you understand that every day that goes by, God gives that day to us for us to rise up and be whom what God has called us to be. That's right. He wants you and I to walk in the favor of God, to live a victorious life. Is anybody glad we are not just conquerors, but we are more than conquerors? Yeah. Come on, is any conquerors in the house this morning? Let me ask that again. I said, is any conquerors in the house this morning? So God has given us the ability and given us the gift called life. He's given us time. But he understand, even though he proposes to give for us, here it is, do what you want to. We have to be like the sons of Issachar. And we have to recognize the times and the seasons. You have to recognize what God is doing. And I want to ask you this question this morning. What is God doing in your life? What do you feel like God is speaking to you? Like, well, I ain't heard from God in so long. I'm not trying to put you on the spot. My question is, why not? I know anytime I want to just tell the truth this morning. Why not? Who and what has been hindering you? What has been causing you the day after day after day to let another day go by? Well, I can't hear from God because somebody hurt my feelings, and I can't hear from God because I got hurt in the church and I ain't gonna get hurt again. I got hurt because nobody included me. I got hurt because I don't even believe how they talk to me. You realize how many days we spend in this pity party, and meanwhile God said, I need you to pick yourself up above the mark, because what I'm going to do for you is going to be greater than anything that you have ever experienced before. Somebody shout, now's the time. Come on, give me praise, y'all. Oh yeah, I love this. We realize what the Apostle Paul talks about, understanding of time. He said he has made it from one blood every nation of every man to dwell on all the face of the earth, and has determined their pre-appointed times and boundaries of their dwelling. Hebrews chapter 1, we learn that God has spoken in different ways and different times. God, listen what he said, who at various times and various ways has spoken at times past to the fathers by the prophet. Verse 2, he has in these last days spoken to us by his Son, Jesus, who has appointed heir of all things, hallelujah. Through him also he made the world. Anybody believe that God still talks to his people this morning? Come on, look at somebody, tell him he's talking. Are you listening? Come on, right? There's a lot of philosophy today that said that God is not talking. And I disagree with that wholeheartedly. It's not a matter of God's not talking. The matter is, are you still listening? I wish somebody say amen this morning. So what's got your ears clogged this morning? Well, I need to preach a message on that. What's got your ears clogged? Who's been talking to your ears? How many voices are you hearing? What kind of situations are overpowering the peace of God? Remember, this just came to me. I'm reminded of remember the Bible with the prophet. He said, God, are you in the storms? And he wasn't in the storms. He wasn't in the whirlwinds. But what did he do? God spoke to him in a peaceful, still, small voice. And it's so important, y'all, that we, in these times that we're living in, whether it be in our culture, whether it be in a prophetic time with the church, Are you personally, listen to Pastor this morning, it's very important that you hear the voice of God. That you do not allow the circumstance to overpower the voice of God. And you do not, I feel this, you do not allow your family to become more influential than the voice of God. You do not allow your enemy's voice to become more influential than the voice of God. Anybody know He is your Father? Come on. And the Bible said His sheep knows His voice, and strangers they will not follow. So I'm going to tell you this one more time. Don't let another day go by without saying, God, I need to hear from you. God, my time is running out, but I need to hear from you. And how many believe every day that goes by, you can be led by the Spirit because we're sons and daughters of the Most High? Does anybody believe now is the time for you and I to rise up and to be what God has called us to be? Somebody give God a shout of praise. Come on. Somebody shout, now's the time. God is speaking to the church, y'all. What's the Bible say? 15 times he or she that hath an ear. Let him hear what the Spirit is saying to the church. I'm going to tell you something. In all the 5.5 years that I've been here, I don't think I've ever heard God speaking in this church more clearly than He has over the last few weeks. And He is telling us to be prepared. He's telling us to get ready to rise and to go. That we can't keep standing, we can't keep grumbling, griping, and complaining. That we're not just church members, but we are soldiers of the cross. Come on, somebody. Oh yeah. I wish I could take some time to turn to you and show you what time is, but let me tell you about time real quick. Let me give you one definition. What it is, it's a measurable period. Listen to this. It's a measurable period with actions and conditions. That's what time is. You think about ever since you can remember. Listen to me. Ever since you can remember, how many of you can remember back when you were 2 years old? Can I see your hand? How many of you remember something that happened to you? Come on, raise your hand. I'm not trying to get into some bad stuff here this morning. I remember when I was 2 years old, man, my mom and dad took us to Washington, D.C. And I don't know why, but I can remember standing on the steps getting our picture taken. That's about the only thing I remember at 2 years old. But what I'll tell you is our whole life, you need to hear this. Our whole life, y'all, consists of actions. And they consist of conditions. Think about the action that you had in your life. Yes. Well, I promise you one thing. My life has not been boring. It never is. Every day is an event for me. How about y'all, right? And then it's also not just actions, but it's the conditions. Think about the conditions that you've been in. Think about what you face. But can I ask you this question? Has God been faithful to anybody in this place? Come on, I'm going to ask you one more time. I said, has He been faithful to anybody in this place? Yeah, you've been through some tough times, but you made it. You wound up in the hospital, but you're here. You was in a car accident, but you made it. Come on, somebody. Oh yeah, people walked out on you. What am I going to do now? But guess what? You made it. Oh, I didn't think I was ever going to make it because I got so depressed and put a gun up to my mouth and pulled the trigger and it went click. But you made it. Somebody shout, I made it. Come on, I made it. Somebody shout, I made it. I made it. Oh yeah, we can sit here and go on and on and on with it. Why? Because everything that you go through in your life, it's an action and it's a condition. But I love this. Listen to this. Woo. Do you know what time is? I had to sit here and think on this one. Time is the period, listen to me, between two eternities. What? It is a time between two eternities. I was at a funeral not too long ago. And I'll never forget it. The preacher did a wonderful job. And he was preaching, and he made one statement that just stuck out with me. He said, when you look at somebody's tombstone, I'm not trying to be morbid here this morning, but when you look at somebody's tombstone, what really matters is it's not necessarily the date that they're born, and it's not necessarily the date that they die, but it's the dash between the dates. Yes, sir. Listen when I'm telling you this one. I'm about to close. Can y'all believe it? Yeah, just go and say amen, somebody. But it's the dates. It's not the date of being born. I know we're not dancing and shouting, but this will change your life. It's not the time of the day that we're born. That is important. We celebrate births. And that's at the point of a funeral. We celebrate the life of that person. But what do we celebrate? Well, listen to me. I'm not trying to sound insensitive. We're not celebrating the day they died. Come on, we cry when they die. Come on, somebody. That's heaven's gain, earth's loss. It hurts. But what are we celebrating? When you stand there and say, we're here to celebrate the life of my loved one. You're not celebrating just when they're born. You're celebrating that dash between. Whether it be 80 years old or whether it be, unfortunately, 16 years old. And I'm going to tell you what time is. I'm going to say it again. I hope it'll stick with you. It is that time here between two eternities. And my question to you is, what are you doing with your time? Are you down to one mark? I hope not. But what are we going to do, y'all? What are we going to do with that time? Yeah, I'm going to tell you what we'll have to do, and I'm going to close. Does anybody know we have got to embrace whatever God has for us? No matter what it looks like, no matter what it sounds like. How many people do greater things for God in this season than you've ever done before? Come on, anybody want to be used of God? That's what I'm saying. Come on, anybody want to be a facilitator of God's presence and His glory and revival? How many want to lay hands on the sick and watch them recover, cast out devils? Come on, I want to do great things because Jesus said, I've done great things, but greater things than this shall you do. I got to tell you this real quick. I'm going to close. God gave me this. There's 3 ways to embrace your time and blessings and increase. And if God would increase your time and you're down to 1 marble, this is what you do. You have to change your thoughts.
Amen.
I'm going to say this, and I'm not just some positive thought preacher. I am. I'm going to tell you right now, every one of us sitting in this building, you are 1 thought away from changing the rest of your life. Oh, hallelujah. You're 1 thought away. Somebody say 1 thought away. 1 thought away from changing your whole life. You got to change your thoughts. We cannot think like in this season like we thought in our last season. Well, because let me just tell you, if you start thinking in this new season like you thought in the old season, ain't nothing going to change for you. You're going to go right back into that mess that you came out of. Does anybody believe God has brought us out to take us in? Come on. Is this making any sense this morning? Oh, it's the difference, and I'm not trying to be ugly, but it's the difference in working for someone and working for yourself. I guarantee you, it's probably a whole lot easier to go work for somebody, clock in, clock out, than being the boss. Why? Because everybody wants to talk with the boss, but who does the boss talk to? Right. It's like pastor. Come on, somebody. Oh, Lord. Everybody wants to go to the pastor. That's what we're here for. But who can the pastor go to? I go to the great shepherd. Hallelujah. And I'm not meaning that ugly, but you understand, you got to think bigger, out of the grasshopper mentality into a conqueror mentality. You got to think lighter. Anybody believe God's going to expand this ministry and expand our life? Come on, somebody say praise the Lord. God kept talking to me, telling me, Joe, I want to do something out of the box in this season with the church. So I don't know what it is, but anybody know God's up to something. Hallelujah. Yes, see, I want to share this with you very quickly. The other day, this last Thursday, how many of you give me a few more minutes? Can I see your hand? Oh, God, 5, 10, 15, that's all right. I'm joking. But you know, I had a meeting. I had a meeting with 2 developers and a builder concerning this church or what we need to do and how we should do this. And we'll talk more about it. I don't get your minds going this morning. I'll tell you more about it. I'm not hiding nothing from you. But then we sit down with one of the top developers and commercial expert for Bethlehem and Winder, Georgia. They're taking care of the mommy daycare. That place just sold. I think they closed about 2 days ago. And I'm going to stop right there. But man, I was just amazed. I sit down at this lunch and all of a sudden we started greeting, and they went from casual talk, how you doing? I never met this guy before. How many children you got? And boy, next thing I know, their talk went from talking English to talking Japanese or something with me. Because they were like, now how can we develop this? And how many cuts do we need in the road? I'm like, whoa, slow down. It was so overwhelming to me in a good way that I had to go to Athens after that to the funeral home. And then I went down there, and all of a sudden, I just turned the radio off going, I got to process all of this. Well, do you understand what I'm telling you? Because I had stepped into another realm of the way people think. No wonder, man. Listen what I'm telling you. This developer I'm telling y'all about, this ain't no joke, y'all. He sold and developed all of that stuff in Bethlehem. The Longhorns, they built the movie house, Chick-fil-A, all this stuff. All of that is what he's developed. So you can imagine the mentality of thinking. I'm like, whoo, you know? And I hope this is making sense. But I got to thinking, I thought, you know, John, if you're going to move to the next level, you're going to have to get some understanding about what they're talking about. I'm going to have to change the way I'm thinking. Do you understand what I'm telling y'all? It's time to get out of that small thinking and realize that God's got some kingdom thinking. It's like Sister Brenda told me, she looked down my glasses and changed my life. She said, Pastor, you're going to have to start thinking big. And boy, did God ever use her. Does anybody believe we're going to have to get out of this grasshopper mentality, small church mentality, and realize that God's going to give us a kingdom? Come on, somebody say amen. So let me do some pastoral talk for just a minute. I'll make you mad before you go. No, I'm joking. But let me just tell you, you know what we're going to have to do, y'all? As pastor, we're going to have to watch out for the things we start saying. That's right. Watch the way we talk, not just in here, but outside. Stop being so negative. That's right. It's easy to look around, why we got so many empty chairs? I'm not mad, I'm just being honest. Smile at me, y'all. Oh, it could be a whole lot better. Yeah, it could. And it's going to be, but it could be a whole lot worse, too. Come on, anybody know we got to change the way we talk? Somebody say amen. I'm going to tell y'all this. You got to realize that what we speak, it doesn't just go into our future, but it forms our future. And anybody understand sound waves never die? You understand that? I want to tell you a quick story. Give me 30 seconds. And they say that sound waves never die, voices never die. So they say that they can come up and invent something that can capture the voices. Listen to this. And they can put them in this, I don't know, they ain't got it, but I'm just saying that they can invent something that can capture all the sound waves and put it in the voice and put a speaker on it. They said that we can hear people talking all the way back to Jesus on the mountains, talking about the Beatitudes. George Washington. All the way to Martin Luther King, I've got a dream. We could hear these speeches that are going forward. And I began to think about that. I thought, wow, man, that is awesome. Why, Joe? Because waves never die. Voices carry. Come on, somebody. And then I began to think about that if this invention could pick up everything. I'm going to duck down right here for just a minute. But if it could pick up everything that you and I have ever spoken, and we could put it on this loudspeaker today, what will we hear come out of your mouth? Woo, y'all wasn't ready for that one, was you? But am I telling the truth? What if we got that thing and we put it, what would we hear coming out of our mouths? You're like, well, Joel, I wouldn't stay for so long. I got that. Maybe that's BC before Christ. But let me really put you on the spot. If we could get that invention to start listening to what you said after you were seeing Christ, now what are we going to hear? How many of you still love me? Smile at me. Come on. Thank God what we say is under the blood. But what I'm telling you here this morning is we've got to stop being negative. We've got to get rid of defeatism. We've got to change our way of talking because we speak to those things that are not as though they already are. Come on, somebody say amen. Got to change the way we... Boy, I was that tired. Can I just pick up on this on another Sunday? I'm going to do that. Let me close with this one. This is my final closing. Talking about the way we talk. I'm closing it, so you know I really am. Let me share this one, I'll let you go. John Kilpatrick, you remember the Brownsville revival? Before revival ever broke, he was so frustrated. Why? Because he couldn't get no musicians. And every Saturday night, this is his story, every Saturday night, he would go in the church and he would pray, he'd walk and pray. He said, one night, he said, I was walking and praying. He said, I wasn't praying, I was complaining. Yeah, God, why can't I get somebody? I want a trumpet player. I want a brass section. Why can't I get this? Why is people not acting right? Why? And all of a sudden, he said, I was the only one in the church. He said, and I heard a voice shout at me. I'm going to wake y'all up. You ready? He shouted, and he heard the voice say, stop cursing and start blessing. He looked around and thought, man, somebody's in this church with me. You ever been to Brownsville? It's a big building. He said, I'm walking around looking, going, hello? Somebody here? Hello? All of a sudden, he got to praying again, and God said, stop cursing it and start blessing it. And then he realized nobody else was in the building, but God was openly talking to him. And he said, look, he said, stop blessing, stop cursing this house. And God told him, said, I want you to go over there and stretch your hands toward the orchestra pit. He said, I want you to start praying that God's going to send a band in here. Come on, somebody. He said, I want you to, I feel the Holy Ghost. This is worth the wait right here, y'all. He said, I want you to stop cursing it and start blessing it. He said, you stretch your hand toward that choir log and speak blessings and call the choir in. Can I tell you something? It wasn't too long after that. One of his best friends called him and said, hey man, I'm playing the trumpet. Y'all need a trumpet player? The guy showed up. That's the way it started. But next thing you know, the revival broke. And they had bukus of musicians. And here comes Linda Cooley. Here comes the choir. And here comes a revival, y'all, that won over 1.5 million people to Jesus Christ and shook our churches throughout the nation. Does anybody believe we have the ability to change things this morning, at this moment? I want to tell you, stop